Hello, I'm Murray Newlands and welcome to another episode of The Future of Engagement. I'm here with Tom Foremski, a friend of mine in San Francisco. He writes the well-known Silicon Valley blog, Silicon Valley Watcher. He was previously a journalist for the Financial Times and still contributes to CDNet and many other major publications. Tom, the future of engagement. How do you see agencies particularly engaging well with the media at the moment?
Well, in some ways, nothing has changed. I mean, it's still the same mechanisms of engagement are still valid, but the fragmentation of the media sphere means that there's more people to engage with, and some of them have smaller audiences, so that means more work for the agencies. And there's another thing in that it's difficult to reach these people because they're so they have to produce so much copy that they're not really checking their emails or picking up their phones unless they recognize the number. So there's a lot of challenges out there.
Who's doing it well and how are they doing it well?
You know, I don't know, because I only know from my own personal experience, so I don't know who's doing it well.
But who's reaching out to you well?
Well, the people that reach out well to me are the ones that I know well.
Okay.
Which kind of takes care of itself, and that's something which still hasn't changed. You still need to build relationships with people, because I won't pick up the phone if I don't recognize the number. And I know other people will do the same, and as for email, my email box is a mess. I rarely go there anymore, so it's a challenge for people to get hold of me.
So if I'm in an agency and I'm trying to reach out to the media in my space or in my space with relation to a client, how would I do that? How are you? Is it meeting you at local events? Is it meeting at vertical events? Is it connecting with you with Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Google+? How are you making those connections?
It's all of the above. You've got to take every opportunity you can to make those relationships. So it has to be Google Plus or Facebook or wherever. Now, people tend to hang out in different places, so it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. But yeah, take every opportunity you can to build that relationship, and also build it outside of the agency. You know, I really love it when people call me up and say, "Hey Tom, let's get together, let's just chat. I'm not going to pitch you anything."
Right.
And I like that because we get to talk about the industry. They're not under pressure to have to pitch the message, and you know, that's how relationships are created.
So obviously you're producing a lot of content. You're saying you write several times a day, and you're always looking for new stories. Where are you finding those? How are you doing that content discovery for yourself in order to get the topics for your articles?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I'm always trying to have something nobody else has. You know, I hate repeating what's the news of the day,
yes,
unless I have some good comment or analysis on it. And I think that's true for every media site. They want to have something you can't get anywhere else. And so I'm trying not to write those obvious stories, those stories of the day. I'm not trying to be a journal of record. I know some publications do, they try and do everything. But I really look for things that, angles that people are pitching maybe that I haven't seen anywhere else before. So I'm always looking for novelty. Now, not novelty just for novelty's sake, it's got to be a really good story too. You know, and it's all the traditional ways of getting those stories, email, text, or whatever.
So, from your first comment, you made the observation that there are many more mediums and many more media, and with smaller audiences. So if you've got a story and you had a limited number of media, and you pitched to one of those media, you'd hit a big audience. And yet every media wants something that's unique. How's that going to work for the agencies trying to get the story out to the biggest audience possible?
Well, you can get several bites of the cherry. You can, if you work at it, find an angle for one side, a different one for another. Now, in a way, the journalists themselves, they should be looking for those angles. They should be saying, this is an important story because it means such and such for my sector, for my industry, for my community. Right. So really, you're going to be working together with the journalists to try and find an original angle. And yeah, that does take time, but you know, if you think the story is worthwhile, then you do take that time, and people do take that time.
what are you seeing as developments in engagement between audiences and brands and publishers?
I'm still seeing a lot of mistakes being made out there. Now there's a lot of influential people out there who aren't necessarily journalists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just happen to have a good following. They write well and so on. And these bloggers, whatever you want to call them, you know, have nice followings, and so the agencies want to target them. But sometimes they target them in the wrong way. They offer them incentives and so on, which actually then ruins their credibility of those people. So, and if you're not a journalist, you don't know sometimes what you should or shouldn't be doing. You think, oh, okay, this is fine. They're going to give me money or buy a sponsorship spot in return for this. And you know, the agencies need to be ethical enough that they're not going to burn their contacts. But yeah, I still see that happening where agencies are burning media contacts for silly reasons.
And what other mistakes are you seeing people make when they contact you?
Did you get my email?
Okay.
That's a big mistake. Now I know a lot of times. No, I'm not like one of those people.
Is there anyone that you'd like to name and shame? No. Okay.
No, I'm not one of those people that names and shames, because I know people are just doing their job. It's like telemarketers. I mean, I tell them off the bat, no, I'm not interested, right? And the same thing with people calling up, did you get my email? I know their boss probably told them, call up Foremski, see if you got the email.
Yes.
And so, you know, but it's things like that which just shows up the frustration of people getting in contact with people, making sure they've at least seen the email or the pitch and so on. Nothing is guaranteed today. I mean, it's such a mess. Communications channels are such a mess, and you have to monitor them all and so on. I'm glad I'm not in PR.
So you're saying you're not in favor of paid content, and ad revenue is going down. How do you see journalism and content creation being paid for and developed in the future?
Well, I think the standard model of, a lot of sites take advertising and they don't choose the advertising, the ad network chooses the advertising, and they concentrate on their journalism. I think that still stands.
Mm-hmm.
But paying for specific content, I think it's still always going to be a problem. Even if the writer says, look, I'm not affected by this at all, people make up their own conclusions, and it's never really favorable towards the writer. So
even if they disclose that they're being paid for it, you're still against that? Because that's a growing industry.
Well, I don't know about growing industry. Paying people to post stuff is a mistake, and I think people that do it quickly realize that it erodes their credibility. So, you know, online, if you don't have credibility, you don't have anything, and you're not going to even be pitched by the agencies if you don't have credibility. Yet the agencies are working to erode that credibility. So, you know, in their desperation to get these messages out. So I don't like that part that's happening.
Okay.
And the agencies should know better.
And what are you seeing as the development for your sites, for example? How are you seeing you're growing your audience? Is that through social media? Is it just through great content and they're finding it anyway? And is social media changing the way you develop your content?
Well, social media, it's all media at the end of the day. So it's all vying for attention, it's all noise at the end of the day. And so it's harder and harder for even great content to jump through that noise. And that's only going to increase. I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, I usually don't make predictions for the year, but I predicted that the media tsunami is coming because more and more. Look at frictionless sharing. I mean, you don't even have to share anything specifically, and still you kick up a huge media dust storm wherever you go.
Yeah.
So the noise level is just going to increase even further. So as far as my site, I face the same challenges everybody else does, including New York Times, is how to get through that noise.
And what are you finding is working with that?
Again, the traditional stuff, good content, good headline, good credibility. You know, those are the things that help you get through the noise, definitely.
And how do you see the developments in content curation? Because I know you do a lot of work in the content curation space. How do you see that affecting publishers, and where are you seeing advances in that?
Well, content curators are important distributors of good content. So they've become that important layer between the search engines and people's just current serendipitous discovery on the internet. You know, media and agencies actually also should do well to cultivate these content curators, because they do feel they have a responsibility to their communities, and their communities do tend to look to them more and more. So they are important, even though they might not create any content. Just by pointing to stuff helps. And
what content curation tools are you using?
Well, I've been using Poetries, but Poetries was a client of mine. I use Evernote, for example. I use pretty much whatever I have to hand. Really, I'm more interested in finding stories that I can work on rather than curating content for others. Twitter is a place where I curate a lot of content. I link to other people and so on.
And what projects are you working on?
I think there's tremendous opportunities for innovation and creation in media. We've only just begun, and really all these technologies that we talk about, media technologies, these are publishing technologies, but now they're two-way. You know, the first part of the internet meant that we could publish to anything that had a web browser. Now anything with a web browser can publish back to us, and that web browser can be on a mainframe or a pocket computer or anything. And with feeds, you can mash up any kind of data information into a live document that continues to live after you've written it. It can continue to accumulate comments and likes and whatever. But it's an evolving thing, and I think we've really explored what we can do with all these wonderful media technologies that we have. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is trying out some of those ideas.
And where are you spending your time online? Where are you engaging?
Not in my email box.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because, but I spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Yeah.
Probably Facebook next.
Mm-hmm. Google Plus, has that affected you? Have you got into that yet?
I've tried Google Plus, but it's too much work, and it doesn't seem to work for me. I keep adding people to circles, and then they come back again, and Google's suggesting add these people to circles. It's not working for some reason, and I've complained to Google and so on. I've even written about it. Still nothing. So it makes me think that Google's not going to get social if it can't even respond to social. You know.
But it must be getting a lot of questions. So how can will we be able to respond to everything? Yeah.
Well, you'd think that they would respond to me. I mean, I do have the means to publicize their success or failure. So
indeed.
I think they might notice that. But maybe that's the culture of Google, that they don't notice these things. So then how can they respond and be successful in that area?
Tom, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Look forward to seeing you on another episode of The Future Engagement.